Aida, il faut changer ta carte d'identité.
It looks like I'm about to lose my identity. What I mean is, it's time to get a new French ID card. The worst thing about renewing an ID document is getting a new ID photo. Knowing that you're going to be carrying that serious face in your pocket for years. Actually, I just found out the photo isn't the worst part about a new piece of ID. It's getting an appointment.
Good things come to those who wait. That's what they say.
French bureaucracy. Ugh.
I've been waiting far too long.
Okay, this is a problem. I need my new ID card earlier than that.
It's always one step forward.
Summer is around the corner, and in summer we like to travel in Europe.
Down
And for Europeans, that means having a valid ID card.
this year, some good's gonna come around.
Okay, sure, technically you can take your passport instead. But honestly, when you're dressed for summer, taking a passport everywhere is a pain and uncomfortable. I've gotten so used to putting everything in my pockets that I don't even carry a bag anymore. Some of you are maybe already commenting about the Schengen area, how Europeans don't need ID to travel across the European Union. That's true, and not true at the same time. If you're getting on a plane or train, you need ID. Unlike in the US, driver's licenses aren't accepted.
Actually, a lot of us, or at least those of us living in the city, don't have cars or even driver's licenses. But I do. Well, not the car, just the license.
So anyway, I need a new ID card before the old one runs out. And I need it faster than what's available in Paris.
If I travel to Belgium, I can get my French ID card there at the consulate a lot faster.
I'm French and I need an ID card, but I'm also European, which means I can just hop on a train and an hour later I'm in another country, as easy as traveling to another state. I also have other identities, just like you do too. I mean, I'm also a student and a world traveler and a daughter. I live in the West, but I've also lived in countries that aren't Western, and I'm in tune with non-Western identities too. I'm an art lover, I'm a cinephile, I'm a partner. It's quite a lot of identities if you think about it. Some of them were baked into me from an early age. Some of them I've picked up along the way. There are social identities, and then there are ones that are how I see myself, my self-identity. For now, though, my priority was getting my French identity back into my pocket. That required a quick visit to the French consulate in Brussels to hand in my application for a new ID card, which, by the way, is free, thankfully.
I just have to go back and pick up my card in a few days, which in French bureaucracy terms is super fast. In the meantime, I think I'm going to explore Belgium and think about identity.
It's funny how we identify with some people while with others we see them as different. Take skateboarders. I know nothing about skateboarding. Skateboarders to me have always been noisy and antisocial and kind of stuck in the 1970s or something. But it's never too late to expand your horizons.
Here's all the stuff. We've got helmets, we've got everything.
What this one's got?
Yeah, it's got clouds.
Maybe it's time to learn.
May I say that we are not responsible for what happened.
This was a totally random encounter, but it did open my eyes. This is my very first time on a skateboard.
think I'm doing the same thing I do when I salsa, which is use my arms way too much.
It's the closest thing you can get to flying without any inhibitions. This is just a public park. It's a skateboarding park, but there are people who use it for everything else. And I think it's important to maintain that philosophy of freedom of use of public space.
This is Max. Max is a Brit living in Brussels who teaches skateboarding as a charity activity.
What we are here to do is to bring skateboarding to the public, giving lessons to people who want to come.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So how long have you skateboarded?
Oh, God. All right. I started skateboarding 22 years ago.
Damn.
Yeah. Can I ask you, how long have you been skateboarding for?
30 minutes?
30 minutes. Yeah, okay.
Which makes me a very uncool skateboarder.
I was born in a wonderful village amongst the rolling hills, and it was so boring.
Speaking with Max as a foreigner to another in Brussels meant there was a shared identity on some level.
And then when I moved here, I was like, oh, wow, the people from everywhere. You know, like it's like I could practice every language, and it set me up really well coming here because it doesn't matter where you're from. In Brussels, it doesn't matter.
I don't say everything about myself the same way in front. It depends on the
It depends on who.
person I'm talking to. Sometimes I'm French, sometimes I'm not French.
Yep.
You know, like I decide which road to take based on what I feel is the way that they will judge me.
Especially being British, you're not supposed to talk about how good you are at things or how funny you are or any of those things. You're supposed to actually talk yourself down, which I think is something I've learned having moved away from Britain, where it's like, actually, I'm pretty good at this, you know, and I enjoy it, and I think that I'm good at creating like a sense of community.
Chatting with Max did make me reevaluate how I'd always viewed skateboarders.
In mainstream society, people see skateboarders as drug users, or you know, like they don't work. I choose who I present my identity to. So if I were going for a new job, I wouldn't necessarily advertise myself as a skateboarder, even though I believe that it ultimately does more good than bad.
Okay, there's no way I was ever going to get good at this.
Come on, come on!
And as cool as Max was letting me roll around a skate park for a bit, I don't think it's for me.
Okay, here's my identity. I was a nerd. I studied a lot. I read books. Didn't have many friends, which eventually it turned out to be an advantage because I never was too attached to any one place. I could easily move on.
You know, one of the core emotional signifiers I have for identity comes from music. I don't think I really understood how much music also informs the culture until I wandered around Brussels' Music Museum. Ever since I was a kid, I've been brought up with music shaping my brain. I think that music is a core piece of my identity. It's oral punctuation to life. Sometimes a soundtrack, sometimes a pick-me-up. Belgium is a cool little microcosm of competing identities. It's probably the EU country with the most multiple personalities. Being French, I think of it as a small sort of French cousin nation. But the Dutch think of the north half of it as almost an extension of their country. There's even a tiny part where German language and culture is the identity. Which makes me think, if you're a European but with overlapping sets of identities, Belgium is a reflection of that. It has the history and also the modernity. It's international and very local. It's a hodgepodge of nationalities, a mix of identities. And I like that.
When you said hello, I knew right away. You take my heart a little day by day. You picked me up when I was down. You knew just what to say. I prayed you'd love me, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Here's news. I just got notification that my card is ready and I should go pick it up. Okay, I know who I am, and having a card doesn't change that, but I gotta say, it's really handy to be able to just go with a tiny card in your pocket and anywhere in Europe.
And with that, I am now carded up and ready to take on Europe at the drop of a hat. At least the European part of my identity is secure. As for the other identities, well, as long as we all get along, right?